Good morning and welcome. A big hello to anyone who's watching us for the first time. You are so welcome. We are Duncan and Lorna and we lead Epsom Vineyard Church. We're so glad you've joined us today and we hope that you've got a really nice coffee and something yummy to eat as you settle down with us this morning. So whilst we are physically distancing, as we always say, we are enjoying socially connecting. We've got our prayer gatherings over Zoom on Tuesdays and small groups on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Our small groups are where we do life together, where we sort of deepen our faith and we ask questions like, what is God saying to me and what am I going to do about that? We've just started a new Zoom group on a Wednesday, so if you'd like to be part of that, please do get in touch.
After this live stream, we'll have a welcome catch-up over Zoom. If you're new to Epsom Vineyard or you've got any questions, please just come and say hi to the two of us. We'll put the Zoom link on the chat at the bottom of the Facebook and the YouTube feeds. Remember, if you're watching after the live event, the Zoom call, of course, won't be available, but please do get in touch via Facebook, Instagram or email hello@epsomvineyard.org for any more information or any questions you've got.
So all of us are in different situations. Some of us are working from home. Some people are, they've got kids at home, so they're trying to parent and they're trying to oversee their children's education. Some of our gang are self-isolating and we've all got a different amount of time and things like that at the moment. So we've been encouraging all of our church to get involved in supporting those who live around them in whatever ways we can. Richard and Rosie are amazing. They are super busy at the moment, but have been inspired to do a food bank collection on their street. So we're going to hear from them now.
Good morning, Richard and Rosie. Really nice to see you guys. We just wanted to hear about your food bank collection. Wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about what you guys did.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So, the food bank. We had some experience of doing the food bank when we were at Southwest London Vineyard, which is our previous vineyard church. And so we were actually on the kind of shelves and taking the food off and handing it over to the people. So we actually saw firsthand the actual benefits of the food bank and saw the people in need and how it could actually help them. So yeah, we thought, what can we do, practically speaking, at this time when there's a great need? And people are also feeling quite generous, I think, during this time of crisis.
And just to help people, what was it you actually did?
So we are part of a WhatsApp group on our road, and we talked to a few of our immediate neighbours to see if they'd be interested in helping us with collecting some food for food bank. And then we shared the message with the wider WhatsApp group people and asked them just to drop anything around that they had that was suitable. And they did.
Yeah, we got loads of responses. And we got 155 items, and in the end, our hallway was not completely full, but it was getting pretty full. And we're like, yeah, come on, this is kind of getting quite a lot now, get too much even maybe. And so we were really overwhelmed by people's generosity, and
yeah, exactly.
It was great.
Yeah, so people,
really great. Yeah,
people were super generous, and we gave them a list of things that food bank were looking for that week. They really took that to heart and were really generous with the things that they gave, giving really nice brands and really high quality items I think anyone would be really happy to receive. So it was great that they showed so much generosity, and people weren't just leaving one or two things which we were expecting. They were leaving bagfuls of things with little sweet notes about, how happy they were to help. So that was really great.
That's absolutely phenomenal. We'll show some pictures so that people can see the collection you guys did too. And just you mentioned there one of the conversations you'd had with one of your neighbours. Was there any other conversations you had, or was there any other reactions that kind of surprised you or encouraged you?
Yeah, exactly. So I think just firstly, the generosity that people were giving more than one or two things, so really generous. And also, with this period of coronavirus, a lot of people are self-isolating. And one particular neighbour got in touch who had been self-isolating with her family, and they had not been able to go out because one of them has got a condition, and she'd been really struggling to get an online food shop. And a couple of days after she got my text message about the food bank, they managed to get an online order, which was amazing in itself. And she really kindly added to her basket a few additional items from the food bank list. And when she got the opportunity to drop them off to us, she was literally skipping down the street, so happy to leave her house to go just a few doors away to help someone else. And she said she was really appreciative of the opportunity to show generosity and be able to help someone else, given that she'd been on the receiving end of a lot of help in the last few weeks. So that was really great to bring a bit of joy in a very unexpected way.
That's brilliant and absolutely phenomenal. Really good. Nice to hear those stories, those very personal stories. And just out of interest, how did you guys feel afterwards once you'd done this?
Yes, I think it's really, really kind of interesting for us to build community with the people on our road and get to know them, because we haven't lived here that long. So it's really interesting to see that people were willing to get involved with this type of thing and get an opportunity to know them, and of course, show compassion where it's needed.
Yeah, we felt really encouraged, didn't we? Like 155 items, we was expecting 20, 30. So yeah, it just shows you that if you just go for something, try it, and then just see what happens. And often you'll be, rewarded or, pleasantly surprised by people's generosity. So yeah, I'd encourage all of you to do similar things, just try it and see what happens.
Fantastic.
But yeah, it's basically, isn't it? We want to be a people of compassion. It's one of the values in the vineyard, and we want to serve the poor. So, we thought, let's do it.
We do. As a church, we're built on that as one of our DNA strands.
That's right.
Great. And guys, thank you so much for sharing with us. It's been lovely to chat, and lovely for you to share some of those stories too. Have a great rest of the day. We'll speak soon.
Thanks, Duncan. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Isn't it great to hear stories like that? Christians over the world, like us today, will be singing songs as part of their worship, and again, like us, will be doing that over the internet shortly. Our singing, as we say every week, is just a way for us to connect with God. The words, if it's unusual for you, just let the words wash over you. Let the music just relax and enjoy the music. After that, we've got a little interactive talk on how we can reduce our financial anxiety at this time.
So if you were listening a few weeks ago, you will have heard that our friend Lorette sadly lost her fight with COVID-19. Her funeral is tomorrow, so please do be praying for her and for her family and her friends, and we'll pray for them just now. So let's just welcome God here. God, we welcome you here this morning. We thank you for the joy that Lorette brought to life, and we ask that you would be with her family, especially tomorrow at her funeral. God, would you bring your comfort and your peace, and would you surround them all with your presence? And God, would you be with us all today? Would you speak to each and every person who is listening now or later? And God, would you reveal yourself and make yourself known to those who need you right now? God, would you bring your peace and encouragement? Amen.
Good Father, it's who you are, it's who you are, it's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am, it's who I am, it's who I am. And I see many searching for answers far and wide. Where good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Love so undeniable, I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable, I can hardly think as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still into love, love, love. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am.
Welcome back. When we meet together at Senzo's, normally we have a short interactive talk and often the opportunity to discuss as part of that. We'll do the same, of course, this morning. For many of us here, we felt the lockdown in three ways. We felt it in our emotions, in our finances, and in our time. And some of us, we felt in all three of those. And they're, of course, linked. So if you're not commuting at the minute, you might have more available time. But that might mean less travel costs. So you might have more money in your account. And both these might make you feel more relaxed and potentially a little happier. Happier is important because it often guides what we do. Lockdown hasn't meant happier for everyone though. Calls to domestic abuse lines are up, I think, about 50%. And anecdotally, we hear that in Wuhan, when they released the lockdown, divorce rates went up. And of course, with job cuts and furlough, many are struggling financially during lockdown. So today, we're going to see together how we can reduce our financial anxiety and what the benefits of that would be for us. I probably should give you a little heads up. This is part 2 of a talk we shared at Senzo back in March. In that talk, we looked at how Jesus taught about money and the effects of money a lot. But the surprising thing is, Jesus never asked for money, and it was usually secondary to his main message. His main message was this: you and I are loved. And when we know that we are loved, we can learn to love others as ourselves. So when Jesus taught about money, he did so in the context of love and how we can learn to love. After we discussed money last time, I had some great responses from friends the following week who literally had changed some of their financial decisions, and it affected me too. I popped into a bike shop as I was leaving the city on the way back from a meeting. It had a lovely, enticing sale sign outside the window, And inside it had a very nice Gore-Tex jacket. But instead of buying it there, even at half price, I thought to myself, would this jacket add meaning to my life? Which was, of course, was what we were talking about last time. The answer was no, so my decision was a simple one. Last time I shared 3 things that Laura and I put in place when we first got married. And they've really helped over the years for us to reduce our financial stress. Firstly, we put a buffer in place, so if the boiler stopped working or if the car broke down, we always had the ability to fix it from the buffer. We also set an individual spending limit, and anything above that we had to discuss it. And even if you are single and you don't have a partner to discuss that with, I would definitely encourage you to find a trusted friend or a trusted family member that for big financial decisions you have that conversation with. I promise you it will really help you. And then thirdly, the only debt we've ever had has been our mortgage and our student loans. Anything else that we wanted to buy, we've saved for first. If you stop listening to the talk at this point, just remember those 3 things. If you put them in place, they will massively reduce your financial stress. You'll be happier for it. And I promise you, those 3 things have really helped us during lockdown, when all the jobs for our business, which rely on people getting together, and for us is our main source of income, they've all dried up. Last time I suggested if money could talk, if money could give us its wisdom, it would say, I can add meaning to your life, but I am not the meaning of life, which of course was why I didn't buy the jacket. This morning we're going to listen to money's advice again. Money might say to us this morning, I'm a great servant, but I'm a heartless boss. So let's dive in. Again, there are usually 3 ways in which we view our finances. Firstly, we either allow our spending to match our income. So as our income goes up, our spending more or less matches it. It works like this. If I've earned £20,000 at this point of the graph, then I'm likely to spend that £20,000. But if I've earned, say, £100,000, we often tend to spend to that level, to £100,000. We like to think that the more we earn, the more we'd be able to save, or the more we'd be able to be generous with. But sadly, the financial habits that we have here tend to follow us up the pay scale. Financial pressures, sadly, also follow us up the pay scale. We presume that the more we earn, the less we worry about money. Let's face it, we'd all like to be tested in that way. Just let our income go up and see how we cope with it. But the more we have and the more we spend, the more pressure we have on our finances. You see, if you lose a job earning £20,000, there's lots of those to go around. But if you lose a job earning £100,000, they're a lot harder to find. And if you have car payments, house payments, school payments, and they're all supported by this well-paid job, if you lose that, the impacts could be huge. The second way in which we view our finances is this: we allow our spending to exceed our income. It may start simply. We may have to borrow to get a new boiler or a new car, and before you know it, our habit is to spend more than we earn. A friend of ours used to be a financial advisor to doctors and other high earners. He said the only thing his clients often had financially in common was that their debts were usually proportional to their income. Let me say that again. Their debts were usually proportional to their income. So when they earned £50,000, they might have had debts of, say, £10,000. But when their income went up to £100,000, their debt seemed to go up with it. So it was maybe at £20,000. He said it was absolutely normal for his clients' spending to regularly exceed their income. But when our debts mount up, our conversations with our loved ones tend to get dominated by those debts. They affect our relationships, our mental well-being, and it starts to attack who we actually are. You will never see this in an advert, but if this is your view of money, You just purchased or borrowed your way into slavery, a form of slavery. Slavery to paying off that debt. The thing is, your credit card company or bank, they're in business to facilitate your happiness and to kind of ease your financial pressures. But after a while, you're going to hate being in debt. You're going to hate being asked to repay those debts to people that you don't know the names of. They don't know your names. Ultimately, you're just an account number to them. That's why if money could talk, it would say to us, I'm a great servant, but I'm a heartless boss. There is one, of course, simple way to avoid this. View 3 on how we look at our finances. We have the self-control to keep our spending at a level below our income. One of the things that Jesus said was, life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. Life's not about stuff. It's not about what we have. It's about much more than that, so much more than that. We all know that, but sadly, we don't always make decisions that look like we know that. We're just going to pause for a moment and ask ourselves a few questions. Which one of the 3 views best describes the view of your finances? Do you allow your spending to match your income? Do you allow your spending to exceed your income? Or do you have the self-control to keep your spending at a level below your income? And does this lead to your financial stress, or does this lead to a sense of financial peace? Final question for you just to ponder. We're just going to take a few moments. If there's anything you would like to change, or are you entirely happy with viewing your finances like this? Thank you. I'm just going to bring you back in. So Jesus helps us reduce our financial stress, and he did so by telling us a story that cuts to the heart of why money causes us stress. Jesus taught in stories all the time. We often call them parables. And the parables are there to help us make wise choices. You've heard people say that the Bible is just a book of do's and don'ts, and it does have that, genuinely. Do not murder is definitely in there. And we do this with our kids too. When they're at preschool, we say to them, do eat your lunch and don't hit your sister. But when they move through to primary school, we try and help them to think for themselves. Would you like beans on toast or pasta for dinner? Then, of course, as they become teenagers, we like to coach them into making wise choices. So eating biscuits might be tastier, but eating a balanced meal is far better for your health and growth. Jesus' parables are like how we coach teenagers. They're supposed to help us make wise choices. So let's read this one. Matthew, who was the tax collector, he heard Jesus tell a story about a man who went on a long journey. Nowadays, you might think of it like he went on a once-in-a-lifetime holiday, probably around the world trip. Anyway, before he went, the man calls his employees in and he entrusts them with his wealth. As we read this parable, it's useful to remember that in most of the parables, there's always a God figure and always an us figure. The man who goes on his round the world trip is the God figure in this parable. The employees represent me and you. The man didn't loan them the money. He let them manage it while he was off on his round the world trip. So here's my paraphrase of what Jesus said. To one of his employees, he gave about 20 years worth of salary. To another one, he gave about 40 years worth of salary. And to another, he gave about 100 years worth of salary, each according to their ability. Then he went off on his round the world trip. The man says, while I'm gone, I want you to manage my wealth the way I would manage it. And when I return, you'll have the opportunity to report back to me. While he was away, two of his employees doubled their boss's money, and one of them just buries it, literally returns it at the end. In Matthew 25, verse 19, we read, "After a long time, the master returns and settles his accounts with them." The servants didn't get to keep any of the money they made. It all went back to their master, to their boss. Why? Because the boss is still the owner of it. The employees were just asked to manage it. But if our role in this parable is the same as the employees, Jesus is suggesting that our money is not actually ours. Hold on a minute. I'm thinking, but I earned it. I worked hard for it. I'm sure last time I looked at my payslip, my name was on it. And it was, but why would I believe, and why would you believe, that the money we have in our accounts is not actually ours? It's really simple. When we die, how much of it do we leave behind? We leave it all, of course. That's how we know it's not ours. We just get to manage it for a little while on earth while we're here. When we read this parable, there's also a tendency to get caught up in the unfairness of it. One of the guys gets 20 years worth of salary, but on the other end, the other guy gets 100 years worth of salary. We probably all have this sense or this feeling at some point. We look around and we think, I work just as hard as they do, but they have a much nicer car than I do, a much nicer house. But please don't confuse it. That's not the point of this story. It's not the amount that the employees were given to manage, but it's what they actually did with it that's really important here. So the issue for us is, it isn't how much we're given to manage, but it's what we do with the money that has been entrusted to us. If you sat down with your financial advisor and you asked them, what are you doing with my money at the minute? And they answered, well, I'm not really that organised. I'm not sure of all the details. It would probably be time for you to find a new financial advisor. So when you manage someone else's money, you're accountable and responsible. So how about you? Do you feel accountable and responsible for the wealth God is entrusting to you? Or are you the sort of financial planner that you would be tempted to sack at some point? Let's just pause again and just ponder what we've just heard. What's your first reaction to the idea that you are simply managing the money that God has entrusted to you? And which of the following best describes how your money is spent? Either I avoid thinking about it, I'm mostly unaware of where it's going, I know in general where it's going, or I know exactly where it's going. And if you're watching this today with a partner or spouse, even if you're not watching it with them, how does your answer compare with theirs? Thank you. I'm just going to bring you back. I've got a challenge for you for this week, this month really. There's one Lorna and I have done, and it's really helpful as a check, especially if your income has changed throughout the coronavirus, throughout lockdown. You can either use an app, a spreadsheet, or honestly just a piece of paper, but I'd like you to take an account of everything you spend and everything you earn over a 1 month period. If you've already got a money tracking app, or if you've got access to credit card and bank statements, then you can probably do this today. Hopefully you can do this today. If you don't have access to these records, you might need to take a note of everything that you spend over the next month. I know this will take your time, but please don't disregard it. I promise you this will be useful. Lorna and I use YNAB, You Need a Budget, which is an app we pay for on a monthly basis. We've got friends who use Monzo as their bank account, again, which has just got a great and very simple budgeting app. And of course, you may still have other apps, software, spreadsheets, and there's fantastic bank accounts that are out there that really help you with this. Remember, knowing that you can do this is not the same as actually doing it. I know I've asked a lot from some of you there, but when it comes to our money, there should be no mystery. When it comes to romance or how we relate to our kids, there is plenty enough mystery to go around. But when it comes to our money, I and you should know what happens to it. This is true whether you have a little or a lot. Remember the parable. But why am I asking you to do this? Essentially, I want you to know that you're not wasting your money on things that don't bring you meaning. I also want you to have less financial stress in your life by spending less than you are earning. If you have both of these things in place, you are far more likely to actually love the life you have and to live a life full of love for others, which of course is how Jesus wants us to enjoy our lives, and it's exactly why he taught so much about money. Lawrence, do you want to come and join me? So if you've listened to the talk today and you're feeling the pressure of your finances, please do get in touch. Don't take this on your own. We know plenty of people who can help you with budgeting. We know plenty of resources out there that will hopefully help to reduce some of that stress you're feeling. But I'm also going to pray for you. Pray that stress starts to dissipate. When we normally gather together, we will just pray for each other in the same room, and it's a little trickier over the live stream, but we're just going to jump right in. So here's what I'd like you to do. You might want to close your eyes, make sure you're comfortable, and you might just want to have your hands palm up like you're receiving a present. I'm just going to pray. Lord, you know our situation, you know our financial situation, you know our stresses. And if there's any of you out there right now feeling financial stress, Lord, will you send your peace on them right now? May they tangibly feel your presence in the room with them. And may they know that you love them, you are for them. And you do not want them to face financial fears and financial anxiety alone. And if you're in that quiet space and connected with God, I encourage you to stay there. Lawrence.
We'd also love to pray for physical healing today. So last week we did this, and we had a message from Duncan's sister a few days ago just to say that she'd had a sore hip for quite a while, and it's seemingly better. So we thank God for that. It's really normal for us to pray for healing, so we are going to do that now. So if you're in pain or you have something wrong with your body, what we'd really love you to do, if you're comfortable, is just pop a hand on wherever it hurts. Just acknowledges that pain, and you might want to close your eyes again, and I'm just going to pray. So God, I thank you that you love to heal, and I thank you for the stories we've had over the last couple of weeks of physical healing. Lord, I thank you that you've given us authority to release your healing. So I just say now, pain be gone in the name of Jesus. Muscles, ligaments, tendons be right, muscles be relaxed. And I felt earlier that God was saying that we should pray for people with asthma this weekend. So if you've got asthma, I'd love you to just pop your hands out. God, would you come? And I speak to the asthma and I say, be gone. I say, lungs be filled with breath. Asthma be gone in the name of Jesus. And for anybody who's got high temperatures be reduced in the name of Jesus. Again, if you're connected in with God, do stay in that place. We're going to sing one more song just to finish. And then if you're new and you want to connect in with us, we'd love to do that with you over Zoom when we've finished.
Lord bless you and keep you. Lord let his face shine upon you and give you his peace. Lord be gracious to you. The Lord's favour rest on you. And the name of the Lord be above your household all the days of your life. Amen.
There's nothing worth more than will ever come close. No thing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, Lord. I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of love, where heart becomes free and my shame is undone. Your presence, Lord. Holy Spirit, you are welcome. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Your presence, Lord. I've tasted and seen of the That is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God. That is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, setting lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God. That is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God. That is who you are. 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 Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working.